Recording. We're recording now.
I was gonna wear my Knicks shirt, but then I was like, that's too obvious.
Too obvious for what?
Just like the whole, I feel like I play into it a little bit, but like that's been my wardrobe anyway. Now that my daughter's name is Knicks, it's almost like
That's true.
people are like, is he wearing the shirt because his daughter? I was like, no, I would wear this shit regardless.
Dude, I give you props to your Knicks fan. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
But, okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1, bam. Johnny Angel Podcast. How you doing, Corin?
I'm doing well, man. This is I'm a little nervous also, dude.
Don't be nervous.
I'm usually on the other side of this table.
You are my big get so far, honest to God, because I'm a fan. I'm honestly
cool.
a fan of your channel. It's one of the main reasons why I wanted to talk to you, because I think I've listened to so many podcasts.
I didn't get the celebratory cheers, by the way.
You didn't. You're right. Thank you. I'm nervous. I'm skipping steps. Cheers, brother. Thank you.
This is this is a nice little touch, man. It eases the pain for me a little bit. You know, you have a beautiful house, you had the fridge, you had the drinks on deck, so thank you for that.
You actually seem nervous.
Yeah, man.
Oh, don't be nervous.
Okay.
Don't be nervous. I'm more nervous than you.
right.
Believe me. Been trying to get you here for a while. You're
Yeah.
an extremely busy man.
Yeah.
But it's because I'm a big fan. I really am. I really like your channel. And like I said, one of the things that I realized as I'm listening to podcasts, and no one ever talks about podcasting, like the challenges behind it,
Yeah.
and things like that. There are a lot of challenges that are involved in that, and we'll get to that. But the one thing that I really like about your channel, and I think this is one of the main things that you actually need to be successful, is I would say there's probably a handful of times I've been listening to your podcast and I want to engage and jump in the middle of that conversation and say something like, I think you had one where you were talking to Jill.
Okay.
And I screamed in my car, that's how I feel about my kids, right? Mm-hmm. Or kid, I should say.
Yep.
But I think that's the perfect way to know if you're doing a good podcast, is if you want to jump in and go, oh, I want to talk to Vinny. Or you're laughing when Vinny's sitting there yelling, Donald Trump, build that wall. I thought it was hilarious.
He's a character.
He's a character, absolutely.
Yeah.
But how did you get into this? What made you set up a YouTube channel?
So, I've always had something in my mind to just do something. I don't know. When I was young, our parents had us in this like New York Youth Theater theater class, and it was in New York City, West 57th Street. And we used to drive, so we lived in Westchester, New York, and we used to drive down to New York City. It was like every Wednesday night or something like that. Yeah. We would go down. It was like these random New York City people that like, this is before YouTube, this is before Instagram, like before like trying to be celebrity, like Instagram famous or whatever. So if you were like in New York City trying to be an actor, like at like an off-Broadway theater, you were really about it. Like, it's not like now where it's like you can just sort of get into it and like, I don't know, like sort of just get thrust into it from one viral video or something like that. Like people in New York City who were trying to become famous, like had to grind.
Right.
So long story short, like I used to go to this youth theater and I was always just like, I was always outgoing and like I was a flying monkey in the Wizard of Oz. So like I always cool. It was like, so there's pictures now that I could show you that I'm proud of it. I don't care. But so I was always outgoing. I was always like I feel like I always had like this unique little something that like people like gravitated to me. I don't know if it was because I was cute or like just like funny, but like I was always just interested in a lot of things. And then I got lucky. My friend Kyle started his YouTube channel, Secular Talk Radio, I think it was originally called, or something like that. He'd call into this phone number and do like a 2-hour political show, and he would just talk about current events or whatever the hell was going on.
Wow.
So I knew Kyle from middle school. He was my boy.
How old were you guys when that happened?
I was probably 21 or something like that.
Okay.
21. And we used to just sit there, shoot the shit, and he just was into politics. I was into like just talking about whatever the hell I was going to talk about. Mm-hmm. I eventually started my career of like working and trying to get involved with like sports teams and this and that was my passion, and his passion was the political YouTube world. So he stayed that route. I went my route. We sort of like separated with me helping out with the show. Then eventually I moved to Chicago. And throughout that, we would always still do a podcast, Kyle and Corin, on Tuesdays.
Right.
Which was just a sort of, I think it sort of gives him a little peace of mind because it sort of breaks up his mind from all of his political talk.
I can see that.
So we talk about like Kardashians or like just anything.
Yeah.
We'll just get on air and we just go. And from that, he would always say like, maybe you start a channel, and I would start thinking maybe I start a channel because it has a lot of views. It had like 30,000 views.
Yeah,
which,
you guys have good chemistry for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like, just because, like, he's been my boy, so it's like, and not to go too far off pace, but I have friends who've done podcasts with other people that I thought were great. And I would say, like, you know, what's the deal? Like, you guys are flowing. He's like, he wants to go one direction, I want to go one direction, and we're, you know, we just wants to talk about this and do that. With me and Kyle, it's just like, and this goes back to me as younger, I've never, and something we were talking about before the podcast, I've never been confrontational. I don't like any confrontation at all. If I feel that something is getting confrontational, I'll just sort of remove myself or like just give in to the other person and then let them like just have like they won, you know?
I get it.
And with sports and all that stuff too, like I'm happy to win, but I'm also happy. I'm fine if we lose.
It's not the end of the world.
It's not the end of the world,
right.
You know. So that's always been my approach to things, and I think that's why I've gotten along with Kyle and all my friends so well. Is just because like I can gauge if like, you know, if I'm doing something incorrect or if he's getting annoyed, or maybe I'll just be like, all right, we don't need to do that.
Right.
Which could hurt me too, because maybe, you know, there's been times where like my brother or someone saying like, yo, you should do some t-shirts for Kyle and Corin, like, what's up, dude, like, do that. And I'm like, yeah, that'll be amazing. And then I'm like, we don't need to, you know.
Yeah.
So going back to how I started, we would do our podcast on Tuesdays. It started growing from his following, and then I had a thought that like maybe I just start a channel for myself, and I wanted to start doing it with chats on Fridays, just with like normal people. Similar to, I don't know if you know, like Humans of New York. It's like a book.
No.
So it's like a very popular book that I guess started in New York. It was just a photographer who went around New York City and would just take pictures of random people. So like there'd be a homeless person on the corner. You'd take the dude's picture and like, obviously I think he went up to the homeless person after and like asked them their story a little bit.
Yeah.
So he'd put that picture in his book of like this guy sleeping in his sleeping bag with all this shit around him.
Right.
And write a little blurb next to it of like, this is John, like he was in the, you know, World War II and now he's, you know, homeless.
Well, that's cool. What's that called?
Humans of New York.
Humans of New York. Okay.
Yeah, so I think it's branched into a lot of other stuff now. There's like
check that
Humans
out.
of whatever, Atlanta, all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just a picture book, and it's got a little blurb, little paragraph next to it of all these different people. Like he'll have a Korean lady smiling or something like that, and he'll just be like, "This is whatever from Korea, lives in New York City now, and does her laundry and does all this crap."
Yeah.
And so that was my idea when I started doing the podcast. Was you know, I'll just do chats with normal people because on a high level, there's people like Joe Rogan. I listen to Conan O'Brien's podcast.
That guy, the series? Is that Humans of New York?
Yeah.
So if we go here. Oh, and he just takes pictures.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, and
interviews with thousands of people. I'm sorry. The latest stories from Humans of New York featuring interviews with thousands of people on the streets of New York. So he takes care. So it's is it just bums or is it just people
it's
that
anybody? So I mean, like this
anybody.
dude is probably just coming out of college or something.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah, it's getting there.
You
now.
know, New York City, it's such a melting pot that it's just there's so many different stories that like it was interesting. So like, so I figured, you know, if he can like, and all these people, I mean, while they have their own stories,
Yeah, of course.
they're technically nobodies. You know, like
I know what you mean. Yeah,
nobody knows them. So
for sure.
But
That's cool. That's cool.
But I was always fascinated in, you know, knowing people's stories, you know, and like knowing their backgrounds. It's great to hear celebrity stories, you know, but you hear them all the time.
You're right.
They're on TV shows.
You don't know how much is really true.
Exactly.
And sometimes you find out that it's not true. And somebody's lying.
Yeah. Or it's hard for me to say, you know, but they had a leg up, or you know, a lot of these movie stars.
I get what you're saying.
Their father or mother was a movie star,
Right.
and now they're a movie star,
Right.
and that's how a lot of them became famous.
Right.
But you never really hear about, like, so you'll hear from like some crazy firefighter who's like the the chief of the fire office who saved 1 million lives and did all this crazy stuff on like a Joe Rogan level podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But you won't hear from just like a regular firefighter.
You're right.
And
Absolutely.
like, and what the hell, is their story not just as interesting? Like, so Molly's brother, who I'm gonna have on my channel, is a firefighter. His story is amazing. Like how he had to become a firefighter, and like he had to go to the court and like plead his case because he once in college got like a noise violation or something in college. So
he got a black mark
from that, and then the fire department like knew about it, so he had to like have his dad come and like,
oh my God,
advocate for him as a good dude, and he's like the best guy ever. So like it's shit like that you're just like, everyone's got an interesting story.
Everybody
does.
It's
just a matter of
you're
like,
absolutely right.
So I started doing that on Fridays, the chat, and from that, with my job, I'm fortunate where I get to travel a little bit, work different like sporting events. I started doing vlogs. So originally I wanted to do just the chats on Friday, but then I started realizing that you need more content on your page if you want to get people engaged, involved. So I do the vlogs, which go up Tuesdays, Fridays the chats, and then I'm looking to maybe do like some sport something. So like the biggest thing that I told you when you first started that I learned from Kyle was just consistency.
Right.
So like your followers,
build a habit.
Yeah. Your followers, your fans got to know every Tuesdays Johnny and the Greg, every Fridays his chats, and then if you do something else, it's there. If they go to your page and it's not there, you're done. There's too much shit out there.
Yeah, you're right.
So it's like consistency. So that's what I'm starting to figure out a little bit more. Shout out to Molly. She uploads all my videos. She edits the vlogs and does all that stuff. But like, it's tough, to your point, man. There's just like it's tough. It's tough getting guests. It's tough, figuring out, is this content good? Do they want to talk? Like,
right.
I'm sure you've gotten on the generator. I don't know if you've done it not on air, but you've done a topic and you're like, I don't know.
Oh, big time.
But like you do it and then you just do it. Like you have to dictate where people are gonna go listening.
Right.
You can't care if they don't watch Friends or something like that.
Yeah, for sure. That's something that I've had to learn as I've gone. I think this is you'll be my 11th guest, and it's tough. It's tough because I'm very harsh on myself. I review my stuff.
That's good. That's a big thing.
And I don't know if it's a good thing. I don't know, because I look at your channel and I think to myself, this guy's just having fun, and that's how it comes across. It comes across, this guy's just having fun, and you're doing a good job getting interesting people.
Thanks.
And I don't know if I get interesting people. I get people that interest me, but like you said, you don't know who's. Some people are interested. I remember having a podcast where I thought I was going to take off. Episode was going to take off. It's one of the slowest movers. Then I have one that I thought, well, no one's going to care about this. It's one of the highest movers.
Yeah,
it's weird.
Yep.
But, So
just to that point, you can't. You never know how it's going to work out. You never know how it's going to shake. I'm the same way. I'm like, oh, this one's going to be great, and this one's not going to be so great, and the one that's not so great takes off. It's just like, I'm fascinated that people know when a good one is going to be a good one. Like, so like when I had the chat with Vinny, I was like, that felt good. Like he was being Vinny, going crazy, and that one took off. It had more views. It's just like, how do people know that that's going to be a good episode as opposed to not clicking on a different episode?
I love that one. I don't know what it was about that one, but I think I watched that twice, to be honest. I thought it was awesome.
But what? So why don't those people go watch another video? Like what?
Yeah. It's I know what you mean. It's why aren't you going, well, that was good, let's try this one. Right. Yeah. I get it. It's tough. It's weird. It's I think we're asking a lot of people to sit down for an hour, hour and a half.
People they don't know.
Right. Yeah. That's tough, and I think you do a really good job at it, because I didn't know a lot about you when I first met you, but you got me enough to where I'm a subscriber now. I get the little bell when it comes up. I'm like,
a subscriber
cool.
on your channel as well.
Well, I appreciate that, but where's the bell today? I didn't get. Did you download something today?
No. So I'm trying to upload a video.
Oh, okay.
But to your point, there's shit that happens. So the storage is full on my iPhone.
Okay.
What the fuck do I got?
I
thought everything's in the cloud.
Yeah, that leads exactly into my next question, was basically what challenges do you face on a weekly basis running a channel?
Like I mentioned earlier, I grew up in New York. Westchester County is pretty affluent area. Yeah. A lot of famous people move to Westchester and live there for their careers.
Like who?
I mean, Beyonce, Jay-Z bought a house in Scarsdale, which is the town right over from where I live.
Cool.
What's her name? Martha Stewart lives 10 minutes away from me. Mike Myers I saw out to dinner.
The serial killer?
No, Mike Myers. Austin Powers.
I know.
Yeah. There's probably a lot of serial killers, too, that live around me. I just haven't found
Nobody
them yet,
knows about
fortunately.
those. Yeah.
But yeah, it's a very, there's a lot going on there. Like, you can go out and... one of my favorite shows right now is Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee with Jerry Seinfeld.
Awesome.
So he goes out with Ricky Gervais, and
I haven't seen that one yet. Yeah.
They go in the town that is my town, Scarsdale, the village of Scarsdale.
Oh, no kidding.
So just shit like that. Like, you can see celebrities and you can see these CEOs of big companies that work in New York City. So I worked at an ice cream shop that was just a very affluent area that again, the CEO of American Express used to come in. The VP of the Knicks used to come in.
How would you know that about the American Express guy? How would you know that?
I think the manager of the store once told me or something
okay,
like that.
Okay.
And it's just they all do something.
Well, they need ice cream too.
Yeah, and they all come in with their kids and they're driving these amazing cars. So you start to ask questions, you know, and I'm personable, so I'm talking to them, and I was young, so I'm looking for a job. So a lot of these people are CEOs of companies that I can't think of any off the top of my head right now, but they're huge companies.
Yeah.
And they all live in Scarsdale. They all live in that area. So I made a lot of connections with people that way, and I've always just been friendly, and where I've worked out is also an affluent neighborhood. So it's just all these people have interesting stories. They're very smart. They're they've got some money and they've got connections. They've got an awesome story. So I feel lucky that I know a lot of these people that come on my channel now. And I don't know where you grew up, but
I grew up in Wisconsin.
Okay.
Lake Geneva.
So I will
real small town.
Safely say that they're more I don't want to shit on Geneva or anything like that.
You're not.
But someone who, and I talk about this, someone who can go to New York City and have all these crazy different experiences of seeing.
Oh, it doesn't compare to you want to hear my graduating class?
Yeah.
You won't believe it. Okay, 32.
That's
32. Now, not only 32, but I kind of share. I forgot. I just listened to the podcast with you and Molly's friend that moved here from New York to Chicago. Steph.
Yeah.
We had the same structure in school, not with those different types of classes that she was talking about, but it was K through senior year, all in one building, and there were many times we had to be careful because we might run over a little kindergarten kid. That's how it was.
That's wild to me. That doesn't even cross my mind.
So when I hear somebody, talk about culture shock. Cities still give me I don't know about this place.
Yeah.
I'm still very nervous about it. But so I want to get to New York with you later. But
yeah. Sorry if I'm jumping.
No, you're good. You're good. But
challenges.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So challenges with the channel. So like I said today, my Friday, I should have something up, right?
Right.
I did a chat with Molly's sister on Wednesday. Thought it was a great chat. Go to upload it, and my storage is full on my phone. I can't. It's an hour and 20 long MIDI.
Did you take it on your phone?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I record on my phone, just on a tripod in front of
the
table.
You do it on a phone?
Yeah.
I thought you had a webcam, or you were
going. Well, no. So when I do a chat with someone on Skype, I have my computer with the camera.
Yeah.
But when someone's in my house, it's just the camera right there. Yeah.
Bro, I gotta buy you a camera.
That's my thing. Is I just and this
I kind of dig that though. That's kind of let's just
this is from the Kyle playbook of being successful. Granted, it took him a while. It took him 10 years to gradually grow his shit.
Yeah.
And now there's way more accessible ways to grow, and I think you do a great job of it. I love seeing your pictures on Instagram of just the face and the whole thing.
Oh, the emoji thing? You talking about for Topic Thunder?
Well, just how you for that. How you'll be like episode coming and it'll be you like in a Breaking Bad.
I can show you the app for that. It's super simple.
But the fact that you do that and like have that drive to do that is like I love that. And that's something that like again I'm from the Kyle Kalinske school of being successful.
Hey, there's nothing. I would love to graduate from there.
I know, and I'm fortunate that like he built his bank up to like now let me have like. A mini bank of starting my channel. Yeah. But I think you're doing amazing with a hashtag and like, hashtagging all your stuff. And
thank you. I appreciate that. I do.
Your interaction is great. But yeah, stuff like that. So like today we went to upload and my storage is full. So like I try to airdrop it to Molly's phone and it's an hour and 20 long video. So that's not working. So I had to restart my phone. It's freezing. So the video is like, finally in the midst of uploading right now.
Oh, I see. So it's in the cloud, digitalizing. Yeah, that's a horrible
something.
Word.
Yeah,
but it's going down into wherever it needs
Hopefully
to go.
Hopefully, it's going on YouTube right now. Like it's on its way.
Cool.
To YouTube.
I'll watch it tonight when Gwen's asleep.
Yeah.
So cool.
But then there's other stuff where it's like, you do a great job too. Like you sent me an email saying here's your date, here's the time. Like maybe some topics we're going to talk about. My guess is sort of just on the fly. Like I'll shoot him a text and just say like, "Hey man, like what's good? Like I like you've been doing your thing. Like I don't know if you saw this, but I'm doing my channel. But I'd love to talk to you."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Yeah, sure, of course." And then I'm like, "All right, maybe a day before I'll send you some of the topics that I'm thinking about."
Right.
So getting guests are hard.
Yeah, getting guests are definitely hard.
Getting guests are difficult, and then content like just figuring out what people want.
You know what that. I guess you're right. With all these challenges, there's millions of challenges. I remember one time I was interviewing a guest. Yeah, I was interviewing a guest, and what happened was it looked like a bad 1970s kung fu movie where they would say something that, and I was like, oh my gosh! Like, thank God she lived close enough that she could come back.
And so she redid the whole podcast.
Totally redid the entire podcast,
wow.
Which is kind of what I don't want to do because I like the whole organic conversation.
100%.
But
no, let me ask you because that's happened to me and Kyle. We've recorded a whole shit, and it's just like it got deleted or it didn't record, and it's just like me. Like, no disrespect, but if this didn't record, I'd do it again, but it just wouldn't feel the same. Like,
I agree. I agree. And that interview, in my opinion, didn't feel the same.
Yeah.
But I wanted to talk to her.
Yeah.
And I wanted to share it with people.
Yeah.
So, for sure, there are times I've had 3 or 4 really good interviews and it didn't record, or there was no sound, or something happened that never happens before and it happened.
Yep.
And I'm like, they're like, you want to redo it? I'm like, I can't. It was too good and we just flowed. It was too good. We can't do it.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll get you back on eventually.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
I mean, that's part of the challenges, but then I've started to learn now. It's just like, so with having good content,
absolutely.
To your point, on a good video, bad video, you don't know it's going to be good content.
That's a good point.
Molly tells me like she is a YouTuber. Like she'll watch random ladies with their babies and like she'll watch these food vlog videos and all this stuff. She's like, people love these food videos.
That's weird, isn't it?
I don't like that shit because to me it's just like I don't want to spend my time watching someone else eat. Like
pizza.
I'll just go eat some pizza
and go Yeah, I know what you mean, but people love it.
People love it. So like we had a video early on of me making they don't have it outside of New York, but like a bacon, egg, and cheese in New York on just a roll is like the shit. You can get it on every corner, and it's like $2.75, just bacon, egg, and cheese, salt, pepper, ketchup.
Right.
Dude, like Indian, Dominican dude, Spanish dude behind the counter, whips that shit up, gives it to you, you're out the door. You can't find that shit anywhere outside of New York, and it's the most fucking banging food you'll ever eat in your life. So I made a bacon, egg, and cheese on a roll on a video.
Right, yeah.
And it did well, and I'm like, who the fuck wants to see this? Like, if people want to see it, I don't know.
Yeah, if you want to see me eat, more power to them.
So that's what I'm learning, is just like, you don't know what's going to be good, you don't know what's not going to be good, so just fucking throw everything at the wall and just hope some shit sticks.
You're right, I figured that out, because what you want to work, a lot of people might not even like it.
Yep.
And you throw something up there and you think, let's just see what happens. And all of a sudden that gets more views than you ever thought it would. And you're like, this is what people want?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's like trying to impress a girl or something like that.
Yeah.
You go over
Good
the top,
point.
and you're dressed to the nines.
Yeah.
You get a limo, and everything is just like flowers.
Right.
And like she's like, oh, it's too. Like she's probably thinking this is too much. But then
Right.
like you trip up the stairs, you know.
And she's like, oh, now I love him.
Yeah, you know.
Right.
So it's
Yeah.
like it's shit like that.
But
man.
you gave me some good advice that I haven't taken. I've been trying to take it.
What the fuck, man?
I know. What happens is I get too nervous.
Yeah.
And I try to get everything out before I actually just talk. And the main thing was just be yourself.
Uh-huh.
And I think if you were someday, if someone's ever going to study me, they'll watch the first couple episodes and like, wow, he's forcing out swears. Why is he doing that? You know? And I had no idea why I was doing it. I was watching. I'm like, why did I swear there? There was no need to swear there. I was just pushing it, and I didn't understand. But yeah, those are the challenges that I've faced, and it sounds like you're kind of on the same boat. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but it's fun learning new challenges, like because it makes you
better.
It makes you better. It makes you improve. So now this whole iPhone thing is like, man, why don't we just get a camera? You know, and it'll get us to a camera that has plenty of storage.
$70 at Target.
Yeah, I might have to look into that.
Yeah.
But like, you know, so what challenges become, you know, a better show or a better this or that. So like, so you need that stuff because if everything was going smoothly, if I had every single guest on the sun, that'd probably be a nice thing.
Right.
But like, you need some things to go wrong. You need a podcast to not record and get frustrated because that, I don't know, makes
it's
you
a
stronger.
microcosm of life.
100%.
It's you're gonna trip, you're gonna fall.
100%.
Just get up and keep doing.
100%.
Keep going.
Yeah, and I'm lucky because I have Kyle is a nice safety net in my corner because I can always turn to him and say like, "Hey,
I would imagine.
Like, what this didn't happen. What's up with YouTube?" Like, he's going through a lot of challenges right now too, which
they've changed some rules, haven't they?
They changed a lot of rules. So there was like a whole big demonetization thing a while back, where just randomly
Adpocalypse, I think they called it.
Adpocalypse, yep. Yeah. Where he was like, a lot of their videos, that might have had something they deemed as like offensive, which it's the news. You're talking about topics of like Afghanistan, war,
absolutely.
and guns.
Could be
so
offensive.
It could be offensive to anybody. Talking about anything could be offensive. If you're a Jets fan and you're talking about the Giants, that could be offensive to Jets fans.
Right.
Like,
or Patriots or whatever. Yeah.
Whatever. And who's to decide what's offensive?
Yeah, that is a slippery slope that has all of a sudden happened with outrage culture. And I feel people are doing that as a sport.
Yeah, they're just getting mad to get mad.
Who can get me mad today?
Yep.
And how can I ruin their life?
Yep.
Yeah, I feel like that's really happening. And I'm hoping that it's people are getting fed up to the point where they're like, come on.
I think people are starting to get to a point where they're realizing that people are just getting mad to get mad. And someone that he pisses me off sometimes, but I'm a big Michael Rappaport guy. I don't know if you
I know it. He's a huge Knicks fan. I listen to him on Colin Cowherd.
Yeah, he's on Fox Sports a lot because I don't think ESPN lets him on the networks anymore. But he gets it, you know. Mm-hmm. He gets this outrage community. So when like Pete Davidson had this whole thing with Ariana Grande, where like he was gonna commit suicide because she broke up with him.
Oh, okay.
And suicide is not anything to joke about,
of course
not. But like he was still at SNL studio doing SNL and all this stuff, and like Rappaport was basically like said something that everyone was getting on him for, and it wasn't bad, but they just wanted to get on Rappaport because he was sort of making light of their breakup.
Right.
Which all these news outlets were like, oh my God, they broke up and all this stuff. Where it's like, it's not a headline story. There's a lot of worse shit going on.
Absolutely.
Than Pete Davidson and fucking Ariana Grande breaking up.
Yeah.
So Rappaport played on that and, you know, made fun of him and like, you know, had a breakup. We all had breakups. And people were getting at him and writing all these comments, and there were news articles saying Rappaport is this and that and this and promoting suicide and all this stuff. And he just doubled down. Like, if you just double down and just make people realize that they're getting mad for no reason.
Absolutely.
And they're just getting mad because they want to get mad, because they're bored, because they're angry or whatnot.
Or they want to project what they're really angry about in their life.
100%.
And so they're pissed off that somebody else has a bigger voice than they do.
100%. And he even said, in 2 weeks or a month, this is all going to blow over. You guys won't even know what the hell you're mad about.
He's right.
And then I think in a month, he tweeted out something like, hey, are we still mad about, you know, like.
Did he? Good for you.
So it's just like, people are going to get mad about everything.
Absolutely.
Know? And it's just a matter of how you respond to it. everybody does it differently. I'm a big Louis C.K. fan. He still hasn't come back from his whole situation.
You know what? I am too. I think he's funny. I think he made a bad judgment, but
again, there's levels to that shit.
Absolutely.
So there's people like we were talking before, like this guy Jeffrey Epstein or whatever.
Yes.
Who's actually a child molester.
Horrible person.
Horrible person, and has files of kids on his computer and shit.
Not
like
only
that,
it's a big ring that I'm sure we don't know who's all in it yet. Yeah. It's a horrible mess.
Yeah. But then there's people like Louis C.K. who's, on that scale, the very maybe bottom of it, who just gets his kicks of beating off in front of women or something like that, who you don't know what went on between both of them.
Rogan broke that down really well.
Did he?
And it made me go, oh yeah, it's not really a big deal.
It's just.
I think it's like you're saying. I think people. Here's the one thing that I've always regretted about America. We are so quick to build you up just so we can knock you down.
100%.
And I don't understand that. I really don't get that. I get it if you act a fool and that makes you fall off your pedestal.
Yeah.
Cool. But like, I mean, we can go venture into a ton of people that have. What they've done's been bad, but have we all? I mean, we've all done some bad stuff, right? They just happen to be on camera, or they just happen to be in the spotlight.
Yep.
But the,
It's interesting. I mean, we're weird species that I think no one will ever figure out. Everyone's so different, and that's why I sort of am just like a piece of clay. Like I'll just go with how things are going. If things are going bad, then I'll just remove myself from the situation. I'm not gonna pile on and like, if someone made a bad decision and they want advice from me or they want my opinion, then I'll chime in.
Yeah.
But there's no need for me to stay there and pile on someone who knows what the fuck is wrong.
I agree.
Like, what's the point of that? So that's
not only that, you're not gonna win now.
Yeah.
Not that you ever could win. And I guess you're not trying to win. You're just... But I know what you're saying. This whole piling on and this discrediting and calling somebody a racist when they have an opinion. It's just an opinion. It doesn't mean you're a racist. It's just an opinion. And I think they're trying to cancel your opinion out so fast.
And no one's listening. Like, no one is listening on the internet.
You're right.
I've never seen one, like, successful feed on Facebook or something like that where, like, the last thing was like, you know what? You're right. You changed my mind. Like, great point. Yeah. Everything is just a fucking like, here's a link to this.
You know what I think?
Well, here's a link to that.
You know what, though? I think the world would be a better place if it was more open-minded. If it was more like...
Oh, that's a fucking...
If it was more... Yeah, if it was more like, okay, you know what? I actually didn't see that. That's a good point.
So that's where Sarah Silverman's another comedian that I like. I think she's funny. I think she's... I met her once, which was really cool. I've heard stories about her in Brooklyn, like just going to random gyms and playing pickup basketball with people.
Oh,
like,
no shit?
She's
That's
just
cool.
a super down to earth. Like, she gets it, like she knows she's a celebrity, but
she probably remembers how she got up in the business.
100%.
And it hasn't changed her.
100%. Yeah. And so she had a TV show on, I don't know what network it was on, maybe Netflix or something like that, but it was like, it had like America in the title or something like that. And what she would do is like, she would go to like South Carolina or something like that, where there's like a big like KKK community or a big Trump community or something like that.
Right.
And she would go there and talk to them and listen to them. Like, she wouldn't try and put like liberal views in their mind or something like that. She would listen to all the shit they would say, whether it was like racist or like, anything.
Right.
And once she listened to them enough where they felt, comfortable with her, they started listening to her. So it's like, you got to just see other people's side of it, whether or not they're totally wrong, which I do that myself. I see people on Facebook, and I was off Facebook for a while, but now with the daughter, I have to be on Facebook because you got to share photos, especially with my family living in New York. So you see all the other shit that comes with Facebook.
Right.
There's these people that you thought were amazing people, and you see their views, and it's just like, come on, man, I thought you were good. Like, what the fuck? Yeah. So I sort of get closed-minded to that too, just because it's so hard when someone says something like so fucked up to like get deeper than that and say why are they saying that?
Right.
But her whole show was really getting deeper and getting to know them beyond their like racist remarks, and then they started, reasoning
up
with
to
her.
her. Yeah.
When they felt like she at least gave them the time of day to listen to their racist ass thoughts. Because, like, everyone knows what they're saying. Like, I know if I'm saying something nice. I know if I'm saying something mean.
Right.
So it's
the intention behind what you're saying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of, like, someone hearing me, hearing the shit that I'm saying, and then eventually you break down some walls where it's like, that first thing I said was pretty fucked up, right?
Yeah.
And then you can have a deeper conversation.
Right, yeah.
But if you just come in like,
you're wrong and this is why you're wrong.
Boom, done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know what the main topic of that shit was, but...
No, it kind of transitions well to kind of... My goal for my podcast was to have somebody sit down across from me that I didn't necessarily agree with. And I wanted to genuinely take the time to remove whatever I felt about it out of the way, see where they were coming from, and then maybe it'll change my mind. Maybe I'll just understand it and look at it differently. So I guess I'm throwing the question back at you. What's your goal for your podcast, like for your channel? What's the goal? What's the ultimate goal?
And that's something I'm still figuring out. And
aren't we all?
Yeah. And to that, like, Humans of New York point, I think I sort of, and it's weird because maybe I didn't even, but I feel like the chat I just had with Molly's sister Doreen, there was a moment, and I.
She the older one or the?
She's her older sister.
I met the twins. I
those are her
didn't meet
cousins.
the twins. I watched the twins.
Yeah.
I felt like I got to know them. But.
Yeah, so she's got two cousins that are practically her sisters. They look alike, and they do everything like sisters. There's her older sister who actually is a teacher abroad, and she's been abroad in Korea and China for like the last 8 years. She was a teacher in New York City. That didn't work out. She became a chef in New York City, and then after that moved overseas and been teaching like the last 8. Could be longer than that.
Wow, that's a story.
Yeah, so and to your point, these people have like crazy amazing stories, but I find myself like not really listening to them and just thinking like, what am I going to ask them next? What's like, what, where do I want to go with this conversation? How do we fill time and this and that? Whereas I spoke to a cousin of mine at my sister's wedding this weekend, and she's a psychologist or there's like a psychologist and a therapist, whatever.
Yeah.
She's one or the other where they talk about you sit down.
Does she
on the
prescribe
couch.
Drugs or no?
I don't believe so.
I believe that's a psychiatrist.
Okay. I don't think she prescribes drugs.
This is when I need a Jamie to look this up.
I know. But it's better without that shit, man. You don't need all the fact. Like my boy Michael Rappaport says, it's like no fact checking, all right?
All right. Cool.
But so she said to me, I listened because I did a chat with her son, Sam, and she was like, the chat was great. You do an amazing job. She was like, something that I would tell you is like, you could, and I sort of stopped her and said, my problem is I'll start thinking of the next question as opposed to listening what they're saying.
Right, you're not engaged.
Well, I'm engaged, but I don't get the most out of that answer because they'll give an answer, but instead of saying like, how'd that make you feel? Or like...
No, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Which could pull out so much more to it.
Absolutely.
Whereas like if you're just like, hey, how was your day? It was good. It's like, no, but tell me, like, anything happened? Did you...
Right.
And it's like, well, actually at 8:30, this fucking girl walked past me and, she
and that could be an entire podcast on
a whole
itself.
thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whereas like if I'm just like, okay, cool, that was good. I had a good day too. Where we did it, and it's just like I just left so much on the table because I was interested, but not as interested as I could have been, and like gotten more out of them. So
that's a really good point. It's something I struggle with too. But
yeah,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
But I mean, we're young to this. We're learning,
Yeah.
and like she gave me that advice, and I was like, that's amazing.
What advice did she give you?
Just ask him, how does that make you feel? Or like,
okay.
Like,
so she noticed that you weren't. There were questions there that you could find, or you could dig more, and you didn't. Yeah.
She could tell what I had told her in that next sentence, which was I start thinking of my next question as they're answering my first question.
Yeah.
And she said instead of doing that, just throw like another like feeler question, a follow up to what how that made them feel or something like that. So
when you got done talking to her, how'd they make you feel?
Well, anyway, that night me and Molly had great sex, But where I was going was when I was talking to Molly's sister, she was giving me an answer, and I was really trying to pay attention to it, and it made me think of why I was doing the channel, and it was actually a really cool moment that I don't know where it is in the video, but it was like a Humans of New York video moment where I was just like, I think this is really cool right now that I'm just talking to Molly's sister. She's got an amazing story, and she's fucking telling her story. You know,
I know what you're talking about. When you get that gem, and you know it's a gem, you're actually in that moment, and you're like,
not even well, she might have been saying something so like I don't even know what she was saying,
right?
But I had this moment that I was just like, and it made me think back to all the other chats, which I hope you get this feeling one time when you're like, maybe you're just sleeping or something like that, and you're just like, I spoke to him. He's a therapist, or the aerobic the trainer guy or whatever that you spoke.
Brody?
To. Yeah.
Oh, the Fascia Nation.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
And then like, but it's just like, it's cool. It's really cool. You know, like.
Oh, it's absolutely cool.
And so I had that moment that like, I was like, I like that we're talking right now. I like that I do this, and that's what I think. That's where my channel's at now, is where like I'm enjoying talking to people that
comes through. It absolutely comes through. Remember, I called you. I think it was after you got done talking with the guy that bought the Thanos glove.
Yeah, Mikey.
Okay. First off, that's cool. You shouldn't knock him for that.
Second, add that to your list. We could talk about fucking superheroes and Marvel movies and all this shit, because I am not on board for any of that shit. All right, so sorry to you and Greg and all that shit.
That's all right. That's all right. Hey, I understand. It's
never been
an acquired taste.
Yeah,
it's an acquired taste.
And maybe I haven't given it the right chance. But Star Wars.
I mean, hey, it'll either. Oh well, you know what? I'm not big on. I can see where people like it, but I'm not big on it. I don't wear like a lights. I don't run around with a lightsaber.
Yeah.
Like
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I appreciate that people are so passionate about it, and there's all this shit about it. But it's not
actually.
For me.
I think that's a little.
I don't know.
I just think it's weird that they go to comic book conventions.
No, I don't.
Not comic book. Star Wars. My sister goes to the Star Wars thing every
Celebration.
year.
I worked it this year. Yeah.
You worked it?
Yeah, at the McCormick place, Star Wars Celebration.
Really? Okay. So the only question I always have for my sister. My sister's a diehard. Kim, I love you. She's a diehard Star Wars fan.
I love it.
And I get it.
Kim, I love you too.
I get it. She goes to these things, but I feel to myself like a new movie hasn't come out in a while. Like, has anything really changed?
I don't care. The way that we get jazzed up about CrossFit and the way I get jazzed up podcasting or the Knicks, I think it's so cool that there can be a smoke show Princess Leia dressed up in like this amazing dress, and there can be some 700-pound what is it, Jabberwocky or whatever the hell they are, at the same spot.
I think a Jabberwocky's a dancer.
There is some walkie something in there.
Wookie.
Whatever.
Wookie.
They could be in the same venue and be passionate about the same shit. To me, was the coolest thing ever. You know, these people are walking around, these nerds. They call themselves nerds, I think, too.
They do, for sure.
Okay.
If you've listened to any of the podcasts with me and Greg, we call ourselves nerds and geeks all the time.
Okay. Yeah. But I love that, like, these guys who are just maybe socially awkward with girls, or like, just have had a hard time growing up, can find this like comfort in Star Wars, in this convention, and just like they feel comfortable. You
know what? You changed my mind. You did. That's exactly what I wanted you in the chair. You're right. Because they're not hurting anybody. They're actually in a moment of bliss, and more happy people in this world is probably more what we need.
100%.
And if you get happy by watching Star Wars or carrying around a lightsaber and you're not hurting anybody, cool.
That's why it's like you see all these like.
You're right.
Not to bring it back to a dark place, but you see like all these like shooters and all this stuff.
Yeah,
these
absolutely.
Young kids,
yeah.
And it's like if they had some Star Wars convention or some like weird dark Resident Evil show or something like that they can go to and get their anger and frustration out that way.
Right.
Be like, oh, that's a sick AK-47 that she's holding in this scene or something. Like, get it out there, dude.
Yeah. Go watch John Wick.
Yeah. Which I've never seen. I gotta watch that, man.
Are you fucking
I haven't seen it. I have to, it's on my list of movies to see, but I'm not like a big.
It's the dumbest plot ever. But
I know, that's what I've heard.
The best.
That's what I've heard.
And it's great. It's great. It's just great.
That's what I've heard.
But I digress.
Can I pee real quick?
Yeah, okay. Let me stop it, and then we can absolutely pee. And we're back. All right. So you know what? I forgot kind of what we talked about, so we're just gonna slip into a question I have for you.
Let's get it.
What's your ultimate catch for your podcast? Like, what's the ultimate? Like Carmelo Anthony? Is it?
I don't want to like.
I swear to God, one day I'm gonna find him on that channel of yours.
I mean, I hope so. And it was funny because I was gonna wear my Carmelo Anthony shirt tonight. I feel like he's getting a bad. I mean, I don't have. It's a tough, slippery slope for me because I don't want to have sympathy for these guys who have made $400 million.
I agree with you.
You know,
but yep.
But like in his case, in like a Colin Kaepernick's case or something like that, these guys have worked so hard to get to where they are. He's put in so much time playing basketball. They're still good players. Carmelo Anthony is a phenomenal basketball player. I think Colin Kaepernick can still be a great football player. I think there's, higher levels to it of them getting like blacklisted from a league, which to me doesn't sit right. Like I think if someone can do a job, in these professional sport leagues, you're asking them to play a sport.
Yeah.
Outside of that comes some, media attention and all that stuff. But if what their job is to do is perform on the field,
yeah.
And Carmelo Anthony, Colin Kaepernick, I can't think of any baseball players, but there's probably some out there that like just don't have a job because of whatever reasons.
Right.
Carmelo Anthony deserves to be playing basketball right now. And
is he not on a team?
No. So it's it's funny because today he did a one-on-one interview with Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah, I was gonna watch that, but
I'm a big Carmelo fan just because I worked for the Knicks. I saw him in the locker room. He's a very nice guy, and he's a great basketball player. He's very smart. So he's gotten a bad rap. After the Knicks, he went to Oklahoma City where he
had to play a bench role, didn't he?
Yeah. So
or they put him in that.
And that's
position?
what he spoke about was like, people say that he's very stubborn, that he won't take a 6-man role or a bench position. And he blatantly said, no one has ever asked me to take that role. When I came to OKC, they said, be Carmelo, be a part of Russell Westbrook, PG-13 or whatever.
Yeah.
And then when I went to Houston, they told me I was the next piece that was going to put them over the top to win a championship. So, like, there's just been no communication with anyone saying, hey, we need you to be a 6th man. We need you to come off the bench. So, like, this is a bigger discussion with Carmelo Anthony. Right. But, like, he should be playing basketball. I mean, I would love to have him on my channel. That would be amazing. But I don't want to have celebrities.
No? You wouldn't like to talk to, I don't know. I don't mean just celebrities, but I mean maybe the VP of Knicks basketball operations.
Yeah, so I mean, it's interesting. So the guy who got me, my first internship with the Knicks was in.
I was gonna talk about this later, but let's do it.
Yeah,
How did this happen? How did you get a job at the Knicks?
Well, so I interned with the Knicks in team operations.
Yeah.
I wrestled in middle school with a kid who was my friend, Dan. His older brother was friends with my older brother. They all wrestled. It was a big wrestling program at the high school before I moved to a different town.
Okay.
Dan's older brother Tim worked for the Knicks, got me an internship when I was in college. Just I would do it was an internship for Liberty, Rangers, Knicks. So it's for Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
So I was doing it was over the summer, so the Knicks weren't in season, Rangers weren't in season, the Liberty were the only team playing. I put travel accommodation books together and all this stuff. So I had that internship. So I sort of started networking through that. And then I always worked at a sports memorabilia ice cream shop. So Brandon Steiner is a guy who lived in my area who's got a very, very successful memorabilia company.
Okay.
He's got partnerships like Derek Jeter, Peyton Manning, all the top, Muhammad Ali before he passed away. And he sold all their memorabilia. So I would go to his house and play basketballs on Wednesday, just because he was the owner. He was a part owner of this ice cream shop.
Sorry, my dog's
it's all good.
Around.
So from the ice cream shop was amazing because we would have these sports people like Pete Rose, Reggie Jackson, Jason Kidd, Brandy Chastain, you name it. All these top athletes used to come into our store and do an autograph signing.
Right.
So I got exposed to athletes in that sense through Steiner. And then while working at the ice cream store, I'd been working there for about 10 years. The VP of public relations for the Knicks used to come in and get yogurt for his wife.
Okay.
So he would come in and always Knicksed out gear. And he would always come in, and I was like, this guy, man, he must work for the Knicks or do something.
Right.
So we had three TVs.
They had that aura, too.
Yeah, he had a swagger. He was a tall dude, confident.
Right.
So one night I'm watching, we had 3 TVs because there were sports always on in the store. I'm watching a Knicks-Toronto game. They're playing in Toronto. And I look right next to the bench, and I see this guy.
Oh, no way.
I'm like, get the fuck out of here. So then I like start digging a little bit more on the website and put the picture together with his name. And next time he comes in, I'm like, do you work for the Knicks? He's like, yeah, blah, blah. I was like, I used to intern there. He's like, well, send me your information. I'll set you up with a job.
Sweet. That's cool.
So he set me up with a part-time job. It was game night staff. I worked all the games, all the home games, public relations. So I'd run stuff to the radio, man. I would go down to the court. I'd get quotes in the locker room after the game from the home team, visiting team.
No shit.
Do like Tony Douglas, played on Florida State. Doesn't play in the league anymore, but like before every game.
Remember Tony Douglas?
He would have to have a white hot chocolate Starbucks drink. I'd have to get that for him every single game. So he got me that game night position, and from that I was doing it for like 4 years.
Yeah.
And it just grew from that, where I would like help out in the office. I would help out at a training center. I would work press conferences, like Phil Jackson
really?
press conference. Like,
so let me.
Yeah.
I don't mean to interject.
No, go for it.
What is that? Okay, I just think that would be so. You're a diehard Knicks fan.
Yeah.
You get to work for your favorite team.
Yeah, it was a dream job.
Right, dream job. So my question is, for everybody else that would love to work for their, what's the one thing about basketball, for basketball fans? What's the one thing that you being behind the scenes that you thought, wow, I didn't know it worked like this, right? What's the one thing you can tell people that, hey, it's a lot different from this view versus the view you think you know?
Yeah.
Does that make sense to the question I'm asking?
Yeah, sort of, I think. I mean, you think everything at a high level, so I assume every basketball team, they're, 32 teams, that everything's running smoothly, that, they dictate what goes on outside of their organization. Right. When in reality, it's not that way. And with the Knicks especially, it's very reactionary, I guess.
Really?
If that's the right word. So, like, they were very, insecure of what the media was saying about them. And this is something that a lot of people know. The owner, James Dolan, is quite possibly one of the worst owners in all of sports. It's a little unfair to him because I think he really cares about the Knicks so much. I think he wants them to really do well, but I think that he cares so much and then that's when he tries to implement his ideas and like his thinking of what's going to be successful, which just doesn't work when it's just like you have people in place that are supposed to be doing their job. The people you hired, let them do their job. And a lot of times he doesn't do that, and that's when all this shit happens where it's like we'll trade away guys that could have been good a year later because he wants a certain player. And so what you've seen with the Rangers, he owns the Rangers also, it's almost, and this is just all my opinion, I don't think he cares about the Rangers as much as he does the Knicks because the Knicks are, that's the home run ball. They're the sexy sell. It's basketball. The Rangers, he lets their, director of player personnel and all these GMs do their job. They've made the Stanley Cup 2 years. They haven't won, but they, the last couple of years they haven't been successful, but now they're in a rebuilding stage where they just signed a top player from a different team. So they're on the right path. The Knicks, it's just it's like Jerry Jones.
Yeah.
It's just like.
But Jerry has talent. And I don't know. I think maybe it's because he's having his son do most of the drafting. Like, Jerry wanted Johnny Manziel, and they're like, dude, no, we got to get an offensive lineman.
That's what I'm saying. But, like, he wanted Manziel. Dolan would have drafted Manziel.
Okay.
That's why he's worse than Jerry Jones.
I hear what you're saying.
So it's like, he doesn't let someone say to him,
no,
we can't draft Johnny Manziel. This guy's going to be a shit show. So that's my problem with Dolan. But, like, it's stuff like that. Like, you see the nuts and bolts of, like, what goes on a daily basis. And you're like, oh, they're mad that this guy wrote this article? Like, why? And a lot of other organizations just,
ignore that.
Yeah, ignore that. Just roll with the punches.
I feel like the Spurs are a lot like the Patriots.
Oh, 100%.
Where it's just, look, dude, we control what we control.
It's a culture thing.
Yeah.
And the culture
starts at the top.
Always. Yeah. Any organization. Yeah. In a family. It's just like, if there's chaos at the top, there's going to be chaos at the bottom.
Right, absolutely.
If there's structure at the top, there's going to be structure at the bottom.
Right.
you look at the Patriots and even the whole Robert Kraft situation, like, when he got caught with the prostitution and all this shit, like, it's still a status quo,
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's just
Yeah, it
because
doesn't
there's
matter.
just such a culture that's been built there that some crazy shit can happen, and they just withstand that
Well, I mean,
shit.
they've been doing it for 19 years.
Yeah.
It's become, it's like the Spurs. It's just this well-oiled machine, and when you play them, you got to be ready to go because they're going to be ready to go. Yeah.
And something else I realized while working with the Knicks is just like, I'm still such a fan. I still get fangirled out when I see a player or something like that. But
That's cool. That's cool.
It is, because I mean, it's just like these guys are at the pinnacle of like their career, a profession. I get like jittery when I meet like the top salesman of like some company, some shitty company.
You do, really?
I do, because it's just like these people have worked so hard. They're at the top of their game.
You appreciate
100%.
the grind.
Yeah. I mean, like,
it's cool.
as you do with like Rogan. Like, Rogan's at the top of the podcasting game, and
pretty
and
much.
it's just like you admire what he does because it's like he does a good job at it. He really cares about it, and I just love when people are passionate about things.
I agree. I think when they're genuine, and they're just hardworking, and it's like you were telling me about Rogan before we started the podcast on how meticulous and detailed he is.
Yep.
I can absolutely see that, but I think he's not the only successful person that's ever been meticulous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so when you're that type, I think you're going to be at the top just because you can't get out of anything. You can't see it any other way.
Yeah.
But
But here's what I was going to say, and sorry to interrupt.
I know, I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
When I was in there every day in the locker room and I was around celebrities and stuff like that, it sort of made me realize that like they're all just regular people too,
Did it? I mean, so they weren't carrying themselves any differently?
I mean, they were. I mean, Amari Stoudemire walks past me in a gold chain that's worth my whole family's fucking, like my whole family's bank account.
Did you feel like you could have a conversation with them, or did you feel like
100%. Yeah, I mean, like, because
so they were cool with you?
They were all just regular guys, and like I would get more scared around like the VP of public relations or something like that.
Well, he can fire you.
He could fire me, and like he could help me grow my career. But like these guys, they were all just regular people, and I've always had that mentality. Whether I've been fortunate where I've seen a lot of celebrities at like airports or
so that's how you look at them. So there's no fear, there's no awe,
fear.
there's
no, and like I haven't really been turned down for a photo or like
that's great. That's
had
good.
anybody say like, get the fuck out of here, man, like what are you doing? So I guess I'm not numb to it in that sense. But like being around that was one really cool, just being down on the court and like seeing basketball behind the scenes, something I've been so passionate about. But they're all regular people, and that's everybody's a regular person. So like when I'm talking to someone and they've got like an awesome story and like all this money or whatever, I'm like, yeah, but you gotta go take a shit after this, everyone's a regular person. So like, that
but
sort of gives me a little peace of mind.
Well, let me ask you this: when you were watching games, were you courtside most of the time watching games? Could you watch practice?
Yeah, courtside or like wherever around the arena.
You're an avid basketball player. You like playing it, right?
Yeah.
You have a good time. So
my back's a little fucked up right now.
Welcome to old age and fatherhood.
Which is something I was going to compliment you on after.
The whole idea of God, where's my point? My point is, you play at the Y. You're kicking ass. You're having fun.
Yeah.
Did you ever have one of those moments, or you're still one of those moments where you look at them and you'll go, "Oh, that's a basketball player." Like, wow. Like, I thought I was like, you can trick yourself into thinking you're pretty good, and then you play against somebody and you're like,
100%.
holy shit.
100%. I mean, like, everybody I feel like plays basketball, and like I am by no means good at basketball at all. Like,
I think you're a lot better than me.
I'm okay, but like,
you know who I am? I am that white guy that'll get a rebound and play defense. That is about all I am.
That says a lot, man. Because a lot of people don't play defense.
I'm a very short, slow. Who's the guy on Golden State? Green.
Draymond.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I am.
He's a good
Maybe I'm even more
defensive player of the year, man. Yeah. Both of those guys, but like,
minus the bride dress.
There's so many good people at every profession.
Oh,
you know?
yeah, absolutely.
So, like...
It's just the level. Like, watching that level.
Yeah.
Did you ever have that moment you were like, oh?
Not like a moment, but, like, I mean, it happens all the time. I was just playing on Wednesday, and I thought I was sitting with another kid, and I was just like... Because we play with 15 guys, so we sit out every 2 games. So at least every 2 games we're going to be sitting out. There's a kid who played D3 ball at some school in Minnesota. White kid, 6-foot shooter. And he could just light it up. Like, he gets his shot off fast, and it's just cash. And I said to the kid next to me, I was like, as good as he is, like, you bring out some just D2 kids from New York City, Chicago.
Light him up.
And he's dog shit. He's not even getting his shot off.
Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing?
It's fascinating to me.
Yeah, that's a great word. It's fascinating. It is amazing to me the levels that there are.
Yeah.
Like, you think you're good, and then you play somebody at the Y that just showed up because he's from, I don't know, Boise, Idaho, and he ends up whooping your ass, and you find out he was on the Boise State Broncos, and you're like, what?
But you know what makes it fun is just like when you have, and that's why, and I'm not great at this, like, I don't sort of appreciate every moment for what it is, but like if I'm playing 30 31
31
just turned 30 fucking 1, man. 30 I was fine.
It'll come. You'll start appreciating more, and I think your little girl's going to help you start realizing that for sure.
But like, so when I play in a 5-on-5 game and I'm just lighting it up and I'm feeling good and I'm draining my shots, I'm just like, this is cool, you know.
Yeah.
Or even if I'm playing with kids who are way superior than me and I score 4 points, but I had one crossover that like had a little bit of oohs and ahs.
That'll carry you for a lifetime.
That's what I'm saying. So it's just like appreciating the little things. But like, there's always going to be people that are better than me. There's going to be people that are better than you. There's people that Joe Rogan probably thinks are better than him.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You know, so like, just understand that there's going to be people that are better than you.
Yeah, and be okay with that.
Yeah, you know,
absolutely.
But it is fascinating how many more people there are, or like in the basketball world, how good basketball players are.
Yeah, it's amazing actually.
I would take a little offense to when I was in college. There would be kids who played on the basketball team. So I went to a high school with 1,100 kids who were in my graduating class. Our basketball team had like D1 athletes, like, you know, the best of the best.
Yeah.
Played Mount Vernon. Mount Vernon had kids in the NBA.
Yep.
So I went to college at a D3 school, but we had great facilities, good basketball program, and we'd be playing pickup ball outside. And there'd be a kid lighting it up. I'd be lighting it up and be like, oh, you play high school ball? I'd be like, nah, man. And then, like, he was like, oh, yeah, I was an all-starter at whatever in, like, Bumblefuck, New York. And I'd be like, I would just be like, there's so many levels to it where, like, he was a superstar, as I'm sure you were just Mr. Everything at your high school.
Not at all. But I appreciate
But there probably there was someone in your high school.
I know what you're saying.
Like, there's Chris. He plays football, basketball, soccer,
absolutely,
wrestling.
yeah.
Whereas, like, you know, you put him in a bigger school, and he's just an average Joe, maybe, if absolutely. Not that.
Yeah.
So, like, I would take offense to that, just because it's just like...
anybody that tells you he was all-state somewhere...
Well, yeah, they would look at me differently, like, oh, you didn't play high school ball? And I would always have to follow it up with, like, I made it to the last day of tryouts.
Yeah.
We had Courtney Green, Ray Rice played basketball, like, so it was like...
That's always been a stupid thing, of the whole pissing, chest-bumping thing with guys. Mm-hmm. I've never really understood that. You know, as long as you bust, I always said, if you were on my team, I don't care how talented you are, just bust your ass.
Exactly.
And have fun.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we're gonna go home. Like, we don't have to talk to ESPN when we're done.
Exactly.
You know.
As long as you're working hard.
But speaking of the best in so many levels, this is something I wanted to talk to you on Topic Thunder, but respectively you declined. No, that's fine. It's not a big deal. I get it. It's not for everybody. But I need to ask this question, and I need to figure this out with you. I watched the episode when you interviewed Molly's dad.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Very interesting guy. Man,
super interesting guy.
Shout out to George.
George, I would love to talk to you about the whole Buddhist.
He'd be more than happy
all
to
that
talk
stuff.
to you.
I would love to talk to that guy. He might want to jump in after this.
Yeah.
He made a very, very interesting point, or his argument on who the GOAT is in basketball.
Yeah.
It was super interesting. It never made me think about it that way. I think he's wrong.
Oh, okay.
I do. But I want to hear who do you think the GOAT is? In the NBA, who is the greatest of all time?
So that's a tough question for me because
It's an incredible question.
He's swayed me on this too. And Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is, and it's tough for me to say this because there's so many errors. You know,
Yeah,
it's like
absolutely.
He lived through
It's
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar,
Yeah,
dominating guys.
Right.
I lived through, LeBron James shitting on everybody,
Right.
Kobe Bryant shitting on everybody. So it's like Jordan. I like when people say Jordan. I obviously watched Jordan. I was born in '88, so like the '98 finals, I remember Jordan. But early Jordan, like '93, I was still just so caught up with the Knicks that like I knew Jordan was doing his thing.
Right.
But I wasn't watching Bulls games because I'm in New York.
Right.
And it's not like there was YouTube or like all.
Well,
this
you had
internet.
Patrick Ewing, right?
Yeah, we had Ewing, Starks,
Yeah.
Oakland,
John
Oakland.
Starks. God, I
Charles
remember that
Oakley.
guy. Charles Oakley.
I actually have a funny story with Anthony Mason. I had to drive him to New York City one time, and that was an experience in itself. He is a fucking rest in peace to Anthony Mason. But back to your question. If you were to just put it on paper, George has sold me that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is just bar none the greatest basketball player of all time. He's got the rings. He's got the points. He's got everything that you need to check off the greatest player.
Okay.
He's got a fucking move, the
sky
hook that has never been duplicated, never been replicated.
Why is that, Corn? Why do you think like nobody does that?
I think it's an impossibly hard move to do.
Right.
To do anything overhand and be precise with it.
Right.
I mean that's why like when you're just throwing something in the garbage, just throwing it overhand is tougher than throwing it forward. I mean, like, it's an impossible move to do, and the fact that like he perfected that,
it was money.
It's just people have perfected the crossover. Steph Curry's perfected the 3-point shot, but the fact that no one else has seen how successful that move was, and try to replicate that in any type of fashion, is almost just like a different level.
Do you think that a lot of people look at that as like that's going against the gospel, man? If you try to steal that move, like don't
because
that.
I mean, like they try to steal moves from the past.
I get it. I see it all the time.
Like James Harden,
everybody does the Jordan fadeaway now.
That's what I'm saying. There's some variation of a move from something else.
Right.
Like Pistol Pete was doing a crossover.
Right. Yeah.
And now Tim Hardaway grew into the killer crossover, and like so all these guys. It grew from something. Right. James Harden, I give him a lot of credit. He started doing these moves now that's never been done before.
You mean the traveling?
Yeah, the traveling. But like, it's not getting called, and I'm his biggest critic. I think it's a travel. But hey, if he figured out a move
that they're not going to call,
that's
called advantage. It's a better word for it. But it's an advantage.
100%. I mean, look at Kareem was taller than everybody, so he figured out if I can shoot the ball, even if I can extend my arm and put it higher than everybody else, no one can block it.
Especially from an arc coming that way. Yeah.
So and Steph Curry's starting to figure out is like, hey, I could shoot the ball right when I come over half court. No one's ever really guarded anybody that far out from the basket. Yeah. So that's his advantage. Yeah. Like the greats find a move that gives them an advantage. Right. Kobe found that with. I mean, he's got moves that are iconic.
Yeah. I think it's because of his background of being a soccer player with the footwork.
Yeah, 100%.
He's like, it's also just the dog in him.
100%. He's a beast.
But okay, so you think it's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar?
Yeah. So, and it's tough for me. And I've done research. I've looked at the stats. I've looked at numbers. I think Kareem, to me, is number one. I don't think he gets a lot of credit with that, with the media and ESPN and all this shit. Michael Jordan, he came at a time where ESPN was blowing up, where everything was sexy.
Perfect
and
time, perfect
Nikes,
place.
Jordan, Spike Lee, and like movies, and everything was popping off.
Right.
So that's why I think his is glorified a lot more than Kareem. Kareem just has that move. Jordan's dunking on people. He's got the tongue. He wore the gold chain.
Didn't Kareem kind of take a... at first he was Lou Alcindor, and then he became Muslim. Right, became Muslim.
Yep.
And then changed his name to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So I'm sure there's a lot of prejudice that goes into that about being a Muslim and
very smart
religious
guy.
change.
Huge activist still to this day.
Yes, yeah. I mean, so I guess okay. And disclosure, I'm a Bulls fan. I grew up on Michael Jordan. When I was out in the basketball with my friends, my tongue was out. I got the shoes.
Mine too.
I had the baggy shorts. I had everything. Right. The only thing the only thing I didn't do, and it's because my mom didn't let me, is shave my head. Okay.
Thank you, Johnny's mom.
Yeah. Could not play a lick, but I looked the part. The only thing I think Jordan has on Kareem was there's not a story that I hear ever about Kareem. I don't hear stories in terms of he had a bad back. They had to carry him from the plane to the locker room. He went out and he scored 45 points. Mm-hmm. That's that is a dog. And maybe because I feel maybe Kareem was, I mean, yeah, he has the rings, but how competitive was basketball when he played? Yeah, man, I'm not talking about Lakers. I'm talking about UCLA.
So what's your argument that he didn't have much competition to play against?
No, I don't know. I wasn't alive. I had thought maybe you might know a little bit more since you looked. No,
I mean I don't know, like but I don't know what the competition was like to be honest with you. But
I've heard a lot of backstories about Wooden, and that like he didn't do anything dirty, but his assistant coaches were known for doing his dirty work.
To like
I don't know if
get
that's
him out
true.
to UCLA.
No, that Wooden would load up his UCLA squads.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, like, that happens still to this day.
Right, I'm sure it does. But back then, I don't think college... They didn't have a
so you're saying his
line.
Championships could be a little less because he had, like, the greatest teams or whatever?
Well, it's like, who's the guy that won 13 of them? Bill Russell.
Yeah.
Right? He's never mentioned in any of these great things. I think he's a great player for his own time, but didn't they have, like, 12 teams back then?
Yeah.
And then the Celtics pay the highest best player to come on the team.
Yeah, no, it's a fair point.
I think when you're discussing the GOAT in general, it's really hard.
100%.
No one's. I think they're both in the picture.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think Jordan.
That's
basketball was always built from the center out. Right.
Yeah.
All right. He had the tallest. I mean, he had the advantage of 7 foot. He took every advantage of it, and God gave it to him. Take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Right. And I think you're more of a basketball connoisseur than I am, but wasn't Jordan the first to show people that you don't need a center to win a championship? You just need a dynamic player. Wasn't like they built it around a shooting guard, right?
Yeah, that's a fair point.
So maybe Jordan's not the GOAT, but he's like, I mean, because Stephen Curry's not the GOAT, but he has drastically changed the way the game's played.
Yeah, and here's to my point of just being non-confrontational and just like all this shit. Like I love that there's GOAT discussions.
Me too. I love it.
But why can't there just be multiple fucking great basketball players?
I agree.
We just
totally
embrace
agree.
all of them. You know,
I agree. That's why I think maybe there's a GOAT for each generation.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because then if you want to talk about what is it? He's the most famous boxer of all time. I can't think of his name. Muhammad Ali.
Okay.
And Mike Tyson. Like you could hold an argument about those two, or just accept that they were both freaking awesome.
Yeah, and it's just like, I think it's just talking points for ESPN and all this shit. Who would win
it is.
Well, Warriors versus the Bulls, and it's just like
to talk about something for 24 hours.
And it's just like it's never gonna happen. Jordan's great, Curry's great, Kareem's great. Like they're all there,
Yeah.
There's certain situations. I'm a Jets fan. But I can safely say that Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback, like
of all time.
Of all time,
I 1,000%. Everybody on this channel knows that I'm 100% on that.
I like something like that. Like I can't find an argument against that. Like
you can't. I mean, you can try.
It's tough for me to say that, but like
from a Jets fan, I get it.
There's some situations where like there's clear-cut GOATs, but then there's others in basketball where it's just like. They're all great. Like it's hard to figure that out in basketball because they're both team sports, but like I don't know. I think Brady is on a different level than all other quarterbacks, and I think with the Super Bowl rings, the age factor, like just the eras that he's done it in, like
I agree.
I don't know, and I guess that defeats my argument on basketball. I don't know. I just think there's some cases where there could be a GOAT, and there's other cases where there might not be.
I think you and I are coming to a conclusion that there's really no argument. It's just
it's fun though to talk about.
Yeah, it's really fun to talk about. And George made all these great points. And I don't know if I was still just being that dogged Bulls fan going, no, man, no, it's Mike. Because that's all I've been ingrained to think.
And maybe I don't say Mike because I'm a diehard Knicks fan,
Right.
And he killed us.
Oh,
So,
I used to love the Knicks versus the Bulls in the playoffs. Man.
Those were Knicks Bulls, Knicks Pacers used to be everything.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh my God,
Right.
I still to this day despise the Pacers just because they gave me nightmares back.
Oh,
when
the
I was
whole
a kid.
Reggie Miller. Oh,
Reggie.
I'm sure.
I mean, we had battles with the Heat. We got them a couple times, but
I'm sure. Who's your favorite basketball player now?
now,
Yeah.
I think Steph Curry.
I can see that.
I think he is just amazing. I think
I agree.
The stuff he does when I jaw dropping is tough to do, but sometimes he does stuff that like legit. I never would think that I could like make my mouth drop, but I'm just like no way did he just do that.
Well, he has an advantage that I would give to Jordan and not Kareem is the jaw dropping. The moments where when you see a ball leave his hand, you're thinking in. Michael had that too. Game on the line, 5 seconds left.
Yep.
Jordan has the ball. You're like game over.
Yeah.
That's something that I don't put to Kareem either.
Yeah.
But I never watched.
Yeah.
I don't know if he hit 1,000 great
Yeah, I know.
game-winning shots.
I know.
I just know that Jordan had like you said, he came at the right time, man. He came at the right time. He changed the way the game is played. LeBron, Kobe, my God, Kobe was just like Jordan.
There's also something about players too that. So I think George also really likes Kareem Abdul-Jabbar because he is an activist and he fought for black people's rights and all this stuff like that. So
Yeah,
like he
strong
was a
point.
great,
And I know Jordan ignored all of that. He
yeah.
didn't
So
want to ruin.
George is a huge non-Jordan fan because he said he never stood up for black people at a time that he really had the voice.
He really
to
had
do
the
it.
platform.
So that's something that's a notch against him. So maybe that's why.
I agree. I would agree with that.
But there's players like my favorite player. I have two favorite players, but one that was on the Knicks was Latrell Sprewell.
Latrell, you like that dude?
For whatever reason, I thought he was cool. He had the the cornrows.
Yeah.
He had the Sprewell rims on his car. So like, there's players that you just relate to too. That like I think Sprewell's better than a lot of guys just because I was a fan of his.
Right.
So like, there's reasons why people like players.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Tim Duncan.
Yeah, Tim Duncan's another great
Love
guy.
Tim
Coming
Duncan.
back to the league, he's gonna be assistant coach for the Spurs.
Did he?
Yeah, he just accepted.
Nice.
Yeah. So.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, there's just players that you gravitate towards. There's also players that you dislike. I've got friends, my boy Dean, Derek Fisher, former coach of the Knicks, great player. Dean is just like, I hate Derek Fisher. I'm like, why? He's fucking great. He's like, there's just something about him that I just don't like.
I'm like that with Cam Newton.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I cannot stand that guy, and I don't know why. I don't think, to my knowledge, he's really done anything except been a poor sport in such situations.
Yeah, I mean, he had that stuff in college where supposedly he stole a laptop and all. But everyone's in college. Like, everyone did dumb shit in college.
Yeah, I'm not gonna penalize a kid.
Yeah.
For being a kid.
Yeah, of course.
Like, I'm not gonna do that.
Yep.
But I have 1,000 more questions, but I don't think we have a lot of time left.
Yeah.
It sounds like we might have to do another one of these one day.
I'm down.
But the one thing I want to leave before we finish this up is if you could switch your life with a sports guy or a celebrity, what do you think? Who do you think? It's a tough question. I was thinking myself. I didn't know.
And not to sound cheesy, but I love my life. I love my wife. I love my daughter. Saying I'd swap with someone just like
No, you get them still.
Okay.
You just live the other person's life with them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would take. I'm a big fan of Mark Cuban's. I think.
I didn't think you'd go there.
Yeah,
I thought you were going Stephen Curry.
No.
No?
I mean, like Cuban at like a little like Cuban just with all of Cuban just a little younger. I don't want to be like whatever age he's at.
Yeah.
Because then I would choose like some billionaire 15-year-old or something like that. Because then I'd be a billionaire at 15 and have still Molly and Knicks and all this stuff. So, I think Cuban just has the right head on his shoulders. I think he owns the team. He all his entrepreneurial stuff and I think he gets it. I think he just knows what's going on. He's so smart. Yeah, I'm a big Mark Cuban fan. I would. Yeah. I watch Shark Tank because of Cuban. I follow him on Twitter. Yeah, he's
a guy you look up to.
He's actually had a couple back and forths with Kyle on Twitter, which has been pretty cool for me to see.
That is cool. Yeah. That is cool.
Yeah, I love that Kyle's my friend because I get to see some cool shit.
I bet.
Like telling you before, hearing how like Joe Rogan will sometimes reach out for some political like thoughts from Kyle, and being fortunate to go to his studio and do all that shit is cool. You know, like because I'm lucky to have Kyle as a friend. He's my best friend, and like, he's worked super hard to get where he's at.
You can tell. I mean, the guy knows his stuff.
Yeah.
And sometimes I've probably had to rewatch his stuff because I don't understand what he's talking about, and then I'll have to look it up because I'm trying to understand politics. I'm not a good politician.
Here's the thing: why that's great that you're looking into it more. Is just like because these mainstream media outlets, whether it's CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, whatever.
Oh, you can't trust them.
You can't trust them, and it's just like they're trying to make money too. So it's like the stories they're talking about are just like these sexy stories. They're not actually talking about what's going on in Iraq and all these places where Kyle is like talking about that shit. Where it might not be as glorious. Like how long can you talk about Hillary's emails for on every network? No kidding. On every network. Yeah, you're
right.
It just becomes like frustrating.
It almost becomes like, remember when back in ESPN when Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith had First Take?
Yeah.
There was this time, and I forget what year it was, but it was all Tebow forever.
Yeah.
Tebow. I feel like it's like that with CNN, Fox News. They find something, and that's just they drill it into you to the point where you're like, I can't hear it anymore. I'm done.
And they don't get it. It's like everyone's going to YouTube now to find a Kyle, to find David Pakman, or like
there's another guy I listen to.
Yeah. Pakman's great. And it's just they don't realize.
Have Kyle and Pakman talked?
Yeah, we hung out with David while we were in LA.
Kidding?
He was at Politicon. Yeah,
I like him. I think he's
a real cool guy.
Yeah, I think he's very very well spoken.
100%.
Very calm.
Yep. Yeah.
My favorite video with Kyle was when he got interviewed by that, and I forgot the guy's name.
I know you're talking about the conservative guy, black guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jesse
Peterson.
Yes.
Jesse Lee Peterson
yes.
Or something. Yeah.
I couldn't believe that guy existed because again, I'm just dialing into politics now because again, I'm trying to build a podcast, so eventually I'm going to have somebody that I can have to talk politics with. Yeah. And Kyle's one of the guys that I started gravitating to and started really listening, going, okay, I like his view here. He makes sense here. And he was talking to that guy, and I thought, oh, I can't believe he has a huge following.
You should watch the one with David Pakman. I think
I watched that a couple of times.
Walks off the set or something like that, or
I didn't see that one.
He ends the interview. They're in the same room together on like chair or something. They're both sitting on chairs, a table in front of them.
Okay.
I think Jesse ends it. Because
talk about a guy that seems like he is not well equipped at all, and he doesn't understand anything.
I mean, he's got a huge following.
Yeah.
And
it's
yeah.
Hey, everybody likes.
He got me to watch the whole thing, and I started clicking more videos on him just because I was so fascinated by him. It was just like the whole. Amazing.
So you're a lot like me in terms of you don't really get angry at people. You just kind of watch them, and you're just kind of like.
I'm just curious. Yeah, like, well,
what makes you think that way? Why do you think that way?
Yeah, I'm curious to a point. I'll watch like 2 videos, and then it's like I got this guy. Like I understand his whole thing. But yeah, no, that was. I think Kyle enjoyed that, but like he rarely does interviews with people and stuff like that. So I guess he figured, Jesse's got a huge following, conservative following.
Yeah.
He's had other liberal people on his show, but like Kyle does Rogan because Rogan's Rogan, obviously. Yes. He did Fox News a couple times, which was cool because he is not like every other liberal where they just like bring a liberal on to sort of get shitted on.
Right.
He holds his own.
Yeah.
He's done other stuff, but like he just keeps to himself and does his thing, man. And
I dig it. I like what he's doing. I really do.
Yeah.
So, this was fun.
Yeah, man.
I had a fun time talking to you. I'm glad you came by.
Yeah.
I would love to get you on again just because I want to talk parenting. I want to talk about you growing up in New York.
Yeah, sorry.
What that's like. No. Hey, it's a conversation. I love it. So, anything you want to
No, I think
I will tell you guys, go check out Corin's World. It's a good channel. Molly's Mind is a fantastic viewpoint.
Molly's Mind on Tuesdays.
He does. You don't do a lot of food stuff, do you?
No, with the vlogs when I travel and stuff like that, is just stuff when we travel. I try to get some content and just walking around us doing things, which has been cool.
If any of my 20 listeners want to, if any of my people want to follow you, how are they going to find you?
Instagram, there's a Corin's World. Twitter, just follow Corin Chesterson. Just Corin's World on YouTube. But stay with Johnny, man. He's
well, you can watch us both.
You can watch both of ours. But like, not to brag on to the whatever, but like I love the shit you're doing, man.
Oh,
like,
I appreciate it.
Like,
thank you. I really do. I really appreciate
studio's
it. It
amazing.
means a lot. I look at you as, how you say there's levels?
Yeah.
You're above, and I'm trying to get up there, and I feel when I get up there, you'll be at the other level.
I was very fortunate to come into it with, with the fluff.
Hey man, it's like I said, like
Kyle
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was 7'1". You took advantage of a situation.
I give you a lot of credit because I don't know how I would stay with it. I don't know how I would do it. Maybe I'd figure it out if I did start a channel just from ground zero.
Yeah.
But it's tough, man. It's even tough where I'm at now. Like seeing subscribers fluctuate in and out. It's just like keeping track of that. It's just like, fuck, I lost a follower. It's just like, don't worry about that shit. Like, just do it to do it. And it seems like you're doing it just because you genuinely want to do this shit.
Yeah, I have fun. In fact, last thing I'll end with, do you ever end a podcast and you can't sleep? You're jazzed? You're like, wow, that was awesome.
Not really.
I love doing
not
this.
Yet. No,
not yet.
No,
okay.
I haven't. I mean, I've gotten some. My friend Sean. I was actually really pumped up to talk to him.
Yeah, that was a good one.
He's amazing.
30 for 30 on Forbes.
Amazing. Like,
that is amazing.
And I can't wait to get back to New York because I'm gonna check out his restaurant and his like.
I want to check out his restaurant. I'm not big on Indian cuisine.
Neither
but
am I.
Now I want to check it out.
And I don't want to tell him that on the pod. I don't know if I did or not, but like I've never been. Maybe I haven't gotten the right dish. Shoshana, if you're listening, but I had Indian food once with Kyle when we were in LA, and I think I ordered the right meal. Kyle ordered the wrong meal, and for some reason I ended up with Kyle's meal, and it was all saucy red shit, and I was like, not for me. And he was eating the banging food, and I was like, I think that's what I ordered, motherfucker. but yeah, no, I give you a lot of props for everything you're trying, and like the the intro videos and stuff like that.
I appreciate it.
You're doing a good job, dude.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
So. I think we'll end it there.
Sure.
Thank you very much, everybody. Please check out Corin's World. It's a lot of fun. I have fun. So that's it, guys. Johnny Angel Podcast out. Corin, thank you very much. Look forward to talking to you next time. Take care, bud.
That was cool, dude.
Thank you. You did a great job. Great job.